Alright, welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, Millennium Dawn modded playthrough of the United States. We are... yeah, the right land. But yeah, so we've finished up one part of our war with Russia here. As we've failed to puppet these islands somehow. Which I find interesting. I was so focused on the rest of Russia. Yeah. Okay. Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan. Yeah, we probably lost all these territories too. Yeah, so we only got small sections among China. Those could be big losses later on. But in any case, we'll just move on with our life. We do have kind of a 1 year grace period right now where we need to figure out how we're going to get resources and equalize our fight. We're going to go ahead and trade with everyone we can just to see what our metal situation becomes. Australia here. And the UAE actually has some precious metals. Tech metals is a whole nother story. That's a whole different problem. And you can see Chile here does have quite a few base. Same with Indonesia. So those Indonesia and Chile, or Chile, are in the Republic for the Congolese are definitely places of interest for us due to the raw materials. We'll watch our precious metals net and our net tech metals change abruptly here. Production means that we can reduce our expenditure on. It looks like are going to be boats. Yep. So it's definitely boats that are hitting us hard. And it's going to be the submarines. So let's go ahead and drop submarine production a little bit. See if we can boost our surface vessels because we're going to need them. Yeah, so that actually makes us net positive, it shows. Whereas if we shift this back up, we do want to go ahead and keep getting some cruisers going. This is a tough one, because our Navy is going to be one of the most important things for us to actually put pressure on Europe. But because of our fights with Russia, we're so damaged. And our F-35 program does not complete here for a minute. What is this? Yeah, I don't care about that. I'm unifying Russia under my own terms. Safe Banking Act, I'm assuming it's a senator issue. So let's go ahead and keep working on tech metals since that is our biggest problem. Light metals and steel are okay, so I'm not gonna concern myself with that immediately. Things I should not forget, but I do forget while we're in war. Because there's so many different things going on. Let's go ahead and lobby as well. Diplomatic training. Yeah, that is something we do need to get done. So we need a lot of attack helis. And suicide drones, apparently. Which I'm not sure we want to reinforce. I think those are actually just coming from one location where we're doing some desperate suicide drone attacks in Europe. Yeah, IFVs, but attack helis are our biggest concern right now. So we're gonna go ahead and keep bumping that up. Tank production is what it is, not great. We don't really use a ton of tanks in comparison to our other equipment, so... And if I can keep bumping production here up to like 30 a day, where does that leave us? For a year, 365 times 30 is the math I'm looking at. So we would make a dent. Yeah, and then we need to do the 5 times 365. So this is about half of what we would need. So if we get our productivity up, this should actually be fine, I would think. This is just going to be terrible. I'm going to keep bumping this. Until we're basically out of rare. Metal production, F-22s. Definitely getting those up. We want more Raptors. They were doing well on the battlefield. And we're going to replace a lot of these aircraft. Let's see if we can modify the F-22 too, real quick, and give ourselves some bonuses. So we're going to go... F-22 Raptor... air superiority, AS-1, A1. And we're going to upgrade as many modules as we can on this thing and upgrade it with the traits. So it gives it a reliability bonus. We got it as aerial refueling for flight range. Yeah, I'm not really sold on this design, actually. These should be internal air-to-air for all of it. Yeah, this is showing internal light hardpoint. But it gives a ground attack bonus. I'm actually going to make it purely air-to-air. So we'll get even better air superiority fighting capabilities. Let's see. Flight range. It is what it is. Maybe I have future wing form. We change this. Yeah, we do have a blended flight range, air attack, air defense, speed bonus versus diamond. Yeah, blended is much better as far as the ratings go. So we should be bumping these fighters up as we get an upgraded module. Yeah, I definitely want thrust vectoring. Reliability might be a thing we want to look at, so maybe switching this from flight range. But we can get more planes into smaller areas from further away with flight range. So this is a choice. Reliability and survivability for the planes that we have, or use more at different airfields with smaller airfield capacity, because we are going to take some damage. And I really think right now I'm going to go with a short range version. So let's go for redundant systems first. Gives us air defense and reliability bonus of 20%. So with that, we can get radar max. And then from there, we can bump up our engine as well for fuel. I think we're just going to sit at 99.8% reliability and call that our new air superiority fighter for now. Where is that one? Okay. We're going to add 2 more things. We're going to start making nuclear missiles. And we're also going to start production. I think we're already making hypersonics in the short air, like surface to air missiles, right? Or are we not? We may not be. Just hypersonics? Or not hypersonics, cruise missiles, regular cruise missiles right there. So let's go ahead and get these surface to air. So we can run. Okay, we already got it. Never mind, it was already at the bottom. Then we're just gonna make suicide drones because apparently they're pretty cheap and provide close air support. Functions. Yeah, rubber and light metal is not too bad. And then we're definitely short tech metals for our missiles. But all that's fine. Would you rather have boats or cruise missiles? I'd rather have boats. Would you have nuke or cruise? I'd rather have surface to air than nukes. That's kind of my rating right now. Aircraft, I really don't want to be making all these different aircraft. Our carriers are just short planes. We got beat up. Really need to bump this. Otherwise, our carriers are pretty ineffective. Like, we shouldn't even be making these. But I do want them on the books so that they'll come into field to be replacements for some damaged ones. Transport helis we do need more of as well. Taking big losses there. Egypt. Let's check up on our Egypt situation with our influence. Looks like we can start manually pumping influence here, so we're gonna work on that. Get them to at least 10%. Tajikistan left the SCO. That's good. China has pushed all the way to the Caspian Sea with their offensive. And then what is left of the Russian breakaway regions that we have? Somehow Yevgeny Mikhailov? Like Yevgeny Mikhailov, I think is how you would say that. We could create a faction with them. That's hilarious. Um, Realistically, I want Japan is guaranteeing Singapore. So I can start our faction alliance and everything. All right. We're gonna call this what? We'll just call this the alliance. Since the Allies is a reference to World War II, I don't know what World War One, if there was an Allies faction there, but we're gonna call this the Alliance. It's kind of a mix. Yes. And we want to form that. Okay. So Japan. All right, so we form the alliance. Romania wants to join, which should be okay, which is this small leftover state of Romania. It's not even full Romania, which is split by Europe. They're Western aligned. Let's check how viable. They have steel. Can they come back from where they are? Jordan wants in. Alright, so we'll start with Romania. We're going to invite them to the faction. Jordan wants in. So Jordan being in gives us access to a land border with Israel in the event that Israel decides to betray us. So we're going to go ahead and invite Jordan. Fiji. I would love an island naval base. I don't even know where Fiji is. I'm going to be honest. I would have to look this up on a map. I've definitely heard of Fiji. It's come up in movies or places like that. I'm sure it's in the Pacific or Caribbean or somewhere. But it's definitely an island nation. They're welcome. Samoa is over here. I know that. That is very interesting. But yeah, I definitely want more island nations as a part of our faction. Bahamas for sure. You get in. Alright, so we just need to pay attention to Japan. We got a bunch of islands now that we can launch from if we need to. Because they will now be incorporated into our naval and air base capabilities. Yep. Taiwan puts us in a very strategic position. Multi-role fighters. These are all carrier based. We lost some vessel here. This is where our planes decided to land. Alright. Things that I need to do rapidly. Aside from build all this, is build infrastructure. Yeah, so Ukraine is probably lost as a front. These regions, though, or regions are not. And Russia would be nice to annex, so that is something to watch. Yeah, so I'm not going to bump up this section, but we are going to bump up everything I think is defensible. Ukraine over here does need network infrastructure. And then some of our puppets down south. Okay, air bases. This is going to be key. So forward deploy, we'd want those. Rear deployments. This is going to be our bread and butter. Are all these facilities down here. But we definitely want a very dense air region far away from the European front to supply from. So that looks pretty good for that purpose. And then obviously the Caucasus region, we can dump a bunch of air bases here that can support any southern European issues. I can supply from Iraq. So I want air bases there. I'm not really worried about a war with China right now. I do think once we break up Europe, China is going to be a big concern. And it looks like Afghanistan has fighting, which is curious. Is Afghanistan still a part of NATO or something? No. Did I do this? I completely forgot. um. Okay. Yeah, so there's two Afghanistan. So is there an Afghan civil war going on again? And we have a justification against the non-aligned version, which is not supported by these European countries. And we only have one border right here to take land from. So Special Operations Command is in Tajikistan right now. What do you mean no paratroopers in the command group? These are just paratroopers. Their entire template is paratroopers. What are we talking about? That makes no sense. Also, these units being trapped. Alright, we're gonna have to split off all these trapped units into a new theater. They're gonna go into Asia Command and move them out of Special Operations. Oh, I can do it from... Never mind, they can stay in SOCOM. Where are these guys? Southern border in the hills. Yeah, so they're missing IFVs for their units as well. I would really like to see... Can I not paratroop? Let's get some planes. Got some planes. Can I not pair jump from our allies? We could earlier. They're still deploying. Okay, they're on standby. There we go. We just need the planes. We are going to pair jump to our border. We have 150 transports. We want to assign the divisions. We want to do the same thing to these border regions right next to it. Okay. Hopefully these would be able to take this even with this sheer number of units. But who knows how this will play out. I don't think I can justify against this faction, which makes it interesting. Realistically, I should send intervention forces to support the one we're going to declare on. Which I cannot do. Oh no, I can do here. And I would have to fight Europe. Well, mostly Germany, Britain. And how long do I have to do that? I have until October. I just don't see that being viable in this time frame. I can grab some more of Afghanistan. Hopefully, I would be able to sneak up around here, but I may not be able to. Alright. Let everything play. Go back to production. That's going to be continue to be our bigger issue. Yeah, so let's say we get 400 IFVs a year if we were at 1, so we're at 30 of that, right? So we're at 1,200. So we'd be at 12,000 IFVs a year. So this is about a 3-year backlog with our current production rate. Approximately, like just a guesstimate. Oh man, the Kandahar region. There's a ton of units up here. And I think we do actually have good rail line support though, so that's nice. I don't think there's any units left in our Iran, Iraq provinces or states. Alright, so who wants to join now? Yeah, we definitely want Japan in the faction. So we're gonna get Japan in. So now they're in the alliance. So global factions right now. NATO, the alliance. Let's see if South Korea. I think South Korea still exists, right? We improve relations. We can go ahead and do that. Continue working on agriculture productivity. Yeah, we're missing transport helicopters like crazy. Recruitment. I think we're actually good on IFVs. Now it's just transport helis. Well, obviously for Marines we're struggling overall. At least for special forces, yeah. We're limited in loss of equipment now. This looks rough. Okay. So all that stuff we pushed around here, we're gonna make all these airfields priority and all these roads. It's kind of the first infrastructure moves we need to make. I think as far as reinforcing the Alliance territory in Europe, I'm going to work on surface-to-air missiles. Ah! Okay. Perfect. That's a good way to end the episode, too. First things first, let's get technology we're missing. I think we have everything. So now we're just back to boats. Well, attack helis need stuff. Let's get our ground stuff first. Production, though. Okay, so we can upgrade basically all our planes. So, first multi-role we're going to want is just the A Lightning. Perfectly good plane. That's a pure upgrade. That'll replace the F-15 and the F-16. So we're going to cancel that production line. The F-A-18 Super Hornet is going to be replaced by one of these carrier fighters. Either the C or the B. And let's check. C has a much lower night penalty, I think. No. Is it lower, though? The same. Naval targeting of 3.5. Yeah, so we don't want the Lightning A. Right. Yeah, well, let's go C. That should be our carrier fighter. And then Tech Metal's 6. Tech Metal's 6. Production cost is higher on the other one. Reliability is the same. Speed for C versus B looks the same. Fuel, way less on B for fuel use. Ground attack. Air superiority. Look about the same. What's the flight range? The flight range on the B is way less than the C. So we definitely want C's. We're going to decommission the B. So we're just going to reduce that down to 2 airplanes. We're going to mothball F-16s of all types and F-15s. F-18s also decommissioning. And then we'll start working on designs for our 6th gen planes and all that throughout the next episodes as we get our infrastructure fixed up. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch everyone on the next episode.